Okay, ready to dive into something kind of wild. We're tackling Bitcoin prediction today. Can you actually forecast where this digital roller coaster is going to go? And more importantly for us, what can we learn from everyone who's tried, whether they nailed it or totally busted? You've given us some seriously cool research to dig through. One is this academic paper, way beyond just looking at price charts. They used a long short-term memory neural network, or LSTM. It's like they're trying to see Bitcoin's internal organs, how it really works. The other piece is on that stock to flow model, super popular, but people argue about it a lot. I mean, come on, Bitcoin's rise from nothing to what, over $60,000 at one point. It's not, people want to predict that. It's how do you even start?
It's tempting to try, that's for sure. But like you said, this isn't like picking stocks with the usual methods. Bitcoin has a mind of its own, makes it a real puzzle.
Which is exactly why this deep dive is so interesting. What makes Bitcoin tougher than, say, Apple or Google stock?
Imagine trying to predict the weather, but there's no seasons. That's kind of what Bitcoin's like. No normal supply and demand like we're used to. There's no, what do they call it, earnings season, no reports to analyze, and the price is all over the place. Huge swings in hours, sometimes for no clear reason at all.
Talk about a wild ride. And that's where this LSTM paper comes in, yeah. Instead of just past prices, they're trying to get inside Bitcoin, find better predictors, less about what the user sees, more like the actual code making it all run.
Exactly. They broke it down into categories. Like you've got currency data, how blocks get added to the blockchain, all the mining stuff, even how hard it is to mine a block, that's in there too. By looking at those factors, they're trying to see what's really moving the price.
Okay, now I'm hooked. What's an example of one of those internal factors and how it matters?
Sure. Take block size, for example. Basically, how much data each block on the chain can hold. Turns out, analyzing that actually helped the LSTM predict better.
Hold on, the amount of data changes the price. Explain it like I'm five.
Okay, so each block is like a train car carrying valuable stuff.
Yeah.
The blockchain is the whole train, right? Small cars, you can't transport much, live as the whole train. Bigger cars, suddenly that train, or blockchain in our case, way more efficient, more valuable. It's simplified, but you get the idea.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like upgrading your internet speeds, suddenly everything's faster, you can do more, so it's worth more.
Exactly. Those internal parts, they tell you how healthy Bitcoin is and ultimately what it's worth.
So it's not just today's price, but like hints about where it might go.
Here you go.
This is already blowing my mind. We're just getting started. Before we get too deep in the weeds of LSTM, you mentioned another way to predict Bitcoin. That stock to flow model, lots of buzz around that one.
Yeah, the S2F, it's got a lot of fans, and for good reason. The basic idea is elegant, really. Scarcity drives value. The stock of something compared to its flow, meaning how much is made each year, that's the key. Higher stock, lower flow, the more valuable it should be in theory.
So since Bitcoin supply is fixed, and then there's those halving events cutting new Bitcoin even more, S2S kind of makes sense, right?
All right.
But like any good mystery, there's got to be a twist. Before we get into S2F, what those LSTM researchers find? Could it actually predict the price?
That's the question, isn't it? The million-dollar one. And the answer, well, it's Bitcoin, so it's complicated. LSTM, it's like this AI that's amazing at patterns and data. Like imagine a detective connecting clues over time. That's kind of what it's doing.
So it's using those AI smarts to link up what? Block size, past prices, all to get ahead of those future swings.
Exactly. And they found when you feed the LSPM all that internal Bitcoin data, it did well. Picked up on things that regular models, the ones stuck on price history, they miss those signals.
So promising, but not a crystal ball.
Right. That's key. Even the best AI, it can't predict all the chaos in Bitcoin.
Which brings us back to those black swan events. Things no one sees coming wreck all the careful predictions.
Exactly. And crypto's had its share, that's for sure. Remember the Terra Luna crash back in 22?
Oh, yeah.
Supposedly stable, good tech, poof, gone overnight.
Billions. Gone. Just like that.
Exactly. Enough to make anyone nervous.
You think those LSTM models, even looking so deep, could they have seen that coming?
Nope, and that's the point. They work if the future's kind of like the past, which, with crypto, who knows?
Right. Important point. So we've got LSTM all about the nuts and bolts, revealing, but not perfect. Now that stock to flow model, that's different, big picture. You said it's about scarcity, right? Explain that a bit more.
Sure. So with Bitcoin, S2F basically says as it gets scarcer. Remember, fixed supply, those halving events cutting production, the price has to go up, that's the logic. Like digital gold, but even more predictable, less and less new supply.
Makes sense, especially if you see Bitcoin as protection against inflation, all that.
Exactly. Very appealing narrative. But And there's always a but.
There's got to be a catch.
With S2F, the biggest one, it forgets about demand completely. You can have the rarest thing ever, but if nobody wants it, price isn't going anywhere.
Like that rare stamp collection nobody wants, right?
Exactly. Plus, you still have those black swan events. S2F can't handle those. And let's not forget, crypto is emotional. Hype, speculation, even manipulation. All that affects the price. Good luck putting that in a model.
So LSTM digs deep, S2F is big picture, but neither one is a guaranteed win.
That's it. And honestly, that's investing in a nutshell, especially with crypto. Anyone who says they've got it all figured out, they're either lying or about to sell you something.
So where does that leave us? If even the experts with their AI and fancy models, if they can't predict Bitcoin perfectly, what are we supposed to do? How do we even start to understand it, let alone risk our money on it?
It's about shifting how you think, Not, I'm going to outsmart everyone, but I want to get this. Less crystal ball. More like arming yourself with knowledge. Look past the price. That's just the surface.
So less about timing the market perfectly, more understanding what drives it.
Exactly. Take those internal factors, the stuff LSTM dug into. Don't just track the price. Look for, say, big jumps in transactions. That can mean people are feeling confident, using the network more, you see. Or how hard it is to mine. Maybe that changes. More miners, new tech. All that can affect price.
Okay, so deeper trends. Instead of just the price of lumber today, it's like, got to understand the whole forest, the trees, how much wood people even want.
There you go. And with S2F, yeah, the model's not perfect. But knowing about scarcity, how that can impact Bitcoin long term, that's still useful.
It's putting the pieces together, right? We've got these different ideas. Each has strengths, weaknesses. But the insight, that comes from combining them, thinking for yourself.
Exactly. Don't trust one model blindly. Diversify. Read different people. Look at regulations changing. Is Bitcoin used in the real world? New tech coming. It all matters.
It's one big puzzle.
And the more pieces you fit, the better you understand where Bitcoin's going. Even if you don't know the exact price tomorrow, that's okay.
This has been eye-opening, way more than just staring at charts all day.
For sure. And look, the only sure thing about crypto is nothing's sure. Except that stay informed, never stop learning.
Words to live by. Okay, we got to wrap up, but one last thought to chew on. What happens when quantum computers, the super powerful ones, what if they get good enough to crack Bitcoin's code? Whole other deep dive right there. Until then, happy exploring, everyone.